Hey cakey people, welcome to my bonus video for this week, these gorgeous Valentine's cake hearts. Hit me up with a subscribe before we get into this one so you don't miss any future videos. So first off, we're going to start by making the decorations for the top. They're really simple, just some little modelling paste love hearts. I used a flour paste here because I was short on time and it dries really quickly. You can use a fondant with a Tylo in it or a CMC. And they might take a day or so to dry. I needed these within a couple of hours, so these set really firm within an hour if you roll it thin enough. Just using a small heart cutter, it's about 1 centimetre big, and popping them out. Always make sure that the edges are really neat by rubbing a finger across it. That just tidies up any frayed edges. Then we're just going to paint them gold. I did let mine set and then painted them. I always like to use a luster and add some rejuvenator to it. I link all of these products down the bottom for you, so if you're struggling or you're not sure what to buy, they're always there for you. Mixing it fairly thick but still spreadable, and then you don't get any brush marks in the paint, and you only need to do one coat as well, which is obviously a time saver. And using a fairly large brush compared to what I would normally use. I normally use a 0 and this one's quite a bit larger. It's got a nice grip on the handle as well. I'll try and link those for you. I'm not sure if Amazon do those though. But I will always endeavour to link everything I've used all as close to it as possible. But just getting those all painted up. I didn't actually use all of these in the end. I only put a couple on each love heart. In fact, no, I only put one on each love heart. But I used them to take my pictures, and you know what? They looked really nice. So there you go. Next, we're going to get our candy melts ready for our mould. And so we need to start by, I use deco melts for this one, and we need to start by melting them. And these ones mix up to a really quite a thin consistency, but it's surprising how fast these set. They set much quicker than the normal PME ones that I use. So you've really got to work quite quickly. This video is done in real time for you. It's not sped up. I do usually speed my videos up, but I've actually slowed them down the last few videos because people said that they preferred it that way. So you don't have to pause quite so much. So I'm using my acrylic ball tool to smooth around the edges. You can't get this specific ball tool anymore, and I get asked about it all the time, but I will link one that's really close to it. I find the ball tool fantastic for these moulds. It goes perfectly in the shapes and it really smooths it around without leaving any marks or missing any parts. So we're just spreading it around. We don't want to spread it too much because we want a nice marbled effect once they come out. And once we've done this, we're going to use our bench scraper to go across the top of them and then pop them in the fridge for 5 minutes. Like I say, these ones set so fast. You can see that bit in the middle set before I'd even scraped over it. So now all I'm doing is I'm going back around the edges just because this chocolate's really thin. And so I was just a bit concerned that the edges might not be thick enough, so I went back round with the white again, just on the insides, on those edges and the peaks and the tips of the hearts, just to ensure that they had a nice thick shell on the outside. I like quite a thick shell on my chocolate. I like a sort of 50-50 balance of chocolate to cake mix once they're finished, so it's personal preference. If you want really thin ones, obviously you need to be a bit more diligent about making sure that the shell is really even if you're concerned and you want them thin. I only did 6 because these are only for an example for my Valentine's Day specials this year over on my business page, so I only did the 6. Obviously on the day when I come to do these, I'll probably use 2 lots of moulds or maybe even 3 depending how many orders I get, and I'll cycle them through doing 1 lot of shells, then putting those in the fridge, fill in the next ones with the cake mix, and so on and so forth. So once we've done that, we've set those in the fridge. Again, it literally took a couple of minutes because this stuff sets so fast. We're using some chocolate cake mixed with buttercream here. I didn't actually show that part and I'm really sorry about that, but it is on some of my other videos. We're leaving 1 to 2 millimeters at the top because that's the secret to getting the flat, smooth backs. Okay, and we're filling it in. You don't have to be too careful with these like you do with the cake skull moulds. You can be rougher, but obviously don't push down too hard because at the end of the day it is only chocolate and it will crack if you're too rough with it. So we're just squashing it all in. I have got gloves on for this part as well because obviously it is fairly messy and you're handling the cake quite a bit at this point as well. Okay, so we're just going to finish that off, getting them all nice and even as well. For my fillings, I almost always use a baked cake that I then whiz up in the food processor till it looks like breadcrumbs, and then I mix it with a couple of tablespoons of buttercream. You can use things like brownies, bake some brownies and whiz those up, pop them inside. You can do a truffle, a mousse. The options are quite varied, but for me, for my business and for what I'm after, I pretty much always stick to cake on the inside, but it is personal preference, and please play around with it and let me know what results you get by playing around with it as well. That's really nice to know. So next we're going to fill our backs in. You need to do these a couple at a time because, like I said before, this chocolate sets so fast. So we pour it on and then we're smoothing it out with our angled spatula. These are smaller, these are 9-inch ones, again linked at the bottom for you, so you know exactly what I've used. I would definitely use these candy melts again. I couldn't get hold of the bright white in my normal ones. And then we're just using the bench scraper to scrape across the back there and then filling in any little gaps so we make them all nice and neat and perfect, because that's just what we're after. And then we go, and then we're going to go on the other 3 on the bottom. Like I say, just doing a couple at a time, and if you're not sure, do one at a time, because if you're not speedy enough, it will set and then it gets messy. It'll have a rough texture. You won't get a nice smooth back on it, and then I'm just smoothing the leftovers into that spare cavity on the end there. You can let that set and then reuse it if you want to. I didn't, I just binned it. Okay, and then we pop them in the fridge for 5 minutes. And now to get them out, I just push on the sides, as you can see here, just to loosen the mould around the edges and get any overspilled chocolate just to loosen off. And then we're going to push them out from the point upwards so that we're pulling it away where that love heart meets at the top. Okay, and then once we've got them all out of the mould, what we'll do is just run around the edges just to make sure any overspilt chocolate around the edges is all nice and neat, because you know we want them to look nice and pretty and perfect. I just love how the white and the red mix together in that lovely marble effect here, and that one on the top left, how it looks like a little love heart on the inside of the love heart. I think it came out really pretty. So this is my pearl luster of choice. I almost always dust my cake hearts with this, and if you follow me you'll know that because I use it every time. My favourite brush, again, if you know me and you've watched my other videos, then you'll know I always use this brush for this luster and no other luster, so we don't get any cross-contamination of colours. And we're just giving them a light dusting, and you can really see the difference between the ones that have been dusted here and the ones that haven't, because you can see those lines really popping out, and it just slightly dulls that red, which is quite pretty and gives it that lovely sheen and almost an opaque look. I think it looks really classy and pretty, so that's why I like it and that's why I always do it. So here's a close-up of it. I think that's so pretty. My horrible nails. Lockdown life. So here we go. We've got some melted red candy melts here that we're using. I did one at a time here because honestly, it's ridiculous how fast this stuff sets. It even sets in the tip of the piping bag as you go in as well. So I literally had the little sprinkles in one hand and obviously the piping bag in the other, working really, really quickly to get those on there, because otherwise it's set. I think one of these, I didn't film it, but I actually had to put some glue on the back of one of the hearts, not glue, candy melts on the back of one of the hearts, because it had already set by the time I came to put it on. So I used some happy sprinkles, teeny tiny little sprinkles. I'll see if I can link those for you, but if not, I will link a variant that is also equally as good. Like I say, you can see those spare love hearts down at the bottom there that I didn't actually use. And then on the other half, I used a sprinkle mix that I got on Amazon. Again, I'll link that for you so that you can find that. It's got these little love hearts, and then I used a few of the little tiny gold balls. I think they're 1mm balls. They're really, really small. So just making a nice little mix so that you've got in each box I'm doing either a box of 4 of these or a box of 2 cupcakes and 2 of the hearts. So I'd just mix and match the designs between those 2. I will do a video for you later this week on the cupcakes as well, so you can do those too, and they're a really simple, easy, straightforward cupcake to do, so that's super. So if you enjoyed watching, please subscribe, because it really does help out a small channel like myself. So see you later. Thanks guys, bye.